Look, fam, every time I make the mistake of thinking I have exhausted the Ren catalog on this channel, the Renegades are quick to set me straight. So, salute to you. We're going to be interacting with Penitence featuring Molly McKenna, something I've never seen before, never been on the channel, obviously. Listen, the Patreon link will be in the description below to anybody that wants to see things that have been, that are vaulted, that haven't yet hit the YouTube pipeline yet. A lot of things there that haven't made their way here, as well as, things that will never make their way here because of copyright strikes, things like that, copyright restrictions. Also, PayPal is where I get 80% of the recommendations for this channel. Now, of course, a PayPal donation doesn't automatically mean that it's going to end up on the channel. But like I said before, 80 to 85% of what we're reviewing here comes directly from the patrons. So I salute you for helping the channel grow. Without any further ado, Ren-Penitence, Ren, please cook.
Lately, I think I was over time in my chest, beating slower like the clouds, the color of them fading out, fading out.
What a cool voice. Whenever I hear, a whispery singer, and by whispery, I just mean that you can just kind of subtly hear it's a very breathy kind of way. It makes you feel like you're a fly on the wall listening to a conversation that you're not necessarily supposed to. And it tends to be very kind of introspective. I want her to do that again so that I can, pay attention to the lyrics now that I'm kind of settling into that beautiful voice of hers. Let's hear that again.
I was over time in my chest, beating slower like the clouds, the color of them fading out, fading out. The heavy heart I carried went over your head and over mine.
The heavy heart I carried went over your head and over mine. That means you didn't notice it, and I suppressed it. Man, isn't that a repetitive recipe for disaster in all kinds of areas of life, not just love? The heavy heart I carried went over your head. You didn't notice. You weren't present enough to notice the heavy heart. And then it went over my head, meaning, I didn't address it either. I compartmentalized it. I suppressed the needs that I had in order to meet your needs, or in order to kind of keep the whole thing afloat. That's a very deep line. The heavy heart I carried went over your head and over mine.
Over mine.
I counted the days she left like a prisoner, etching markings on my skin with an old knife, scratching. You see, I wanted the physical to match the psychological, and yet no matter how hard I dug, I still could not match that pain.
Ooh, counting the days with markings on your flesh. And so, and he relates this to prison, which is the idea that popped into my head. If you have years and years before you go home, and you're just, making marks on the wall in your cell in your bunk, just kind of counting down the days. But he said, I'm doing this on my skin because I want the physical to match the psychological. I'm inwardly, internally wounded. And so I want the external wounds to match. It kind of reminds me of Job, where Job is, cutting himself with broken pottery shards and sitting in the dust and pouring dust on his own head because of the amount of anguish that he's dealing with psychologically. Sometimes you want that to match externally. It almost sounds like slam poetry, doesn't it? This is, I like that Ren is kind of taking a break here with this song from kind of abiding by, the rules of music, let's say.
Begin with an old knife, scratching. You see, I wanted the physical to match the psychological, and yet no matter how hard I dug, I still could not match that pain. I longed for reasons, I sung with demons, I sat in a dark, dusty room, barely moving, breathing.
I longed for reasons and I sung with demons, right? I love how Ren always brings us back to the steps of suffering, right? He did it again in what was it, Starry Night? Or was it, which one was it? Was it Vincent's Tale, the one where he's kind of going through Richard's psychological pain from having killed Screech? He takes us through kind of the steps of grieving. And I think he's doing a similar thing here again when he says, I longed for reasons. That was kind of the first thing. Then he says, I sung with demons. What does that mean? Meaning, trying to demonize. Whenever I had a breakup, in the dating phase that I'm super happy that I'm out of, in the dating phase, whenever I would break up with somebody in that relationship I was sure was not going to continue again, I would do this immature thing where I would demonize them, meaning I would hyper-focus on all the things that were wrong with them, all the reasons that it was good that it was over. Like, oh, she was this and she didn't that. And, I just highlight all of her flaws to make it easier to deal with the fact that I had lost something, right? And so that's another step, right? You longed for reasons, you sang with demons, right? Continue to cook, sir.
I still could not match that pain. I longed for reasons, I sung with demons, I sat in a dark, dusty room, barely moving, breathing. I chewed through my own umbilical cord attached to her navel, wanting to be separate.
I chewed through my own umbilical cord. The umbilical cord is what you use to eat. It's what serves you your food, right? It's, he says, my umbilical cord was attached to her navel, meaning that my attachment to her was my only source of nourishment. And I chewed through that, right? The poetic mind that Ren can tap into is something that's deeply special. And I hope we never take that for granted.
Wanting to be separate. Oh, I think my mind is leaking. Solitude is so depleting.
I did it to myself. I know that you are faithful. I did it for my health. How come I'm still unstable and falling far from hell? The suicidal angel who's lost my wings and fell, falling so ungraceful, vanished into hell.
I wish that I could stop crying. They say that the body is 70% water. I feel like I must have reduced mine by a considerable fraction. Newton's third theory states that for every action there must be an equal and opposite counter-reaction. And so I retrace my steps and try to find reasons in the arms of my demons, cause I can't find healing if I can't find meaning in conundrum. Leaning on my dom-nom, feelings how the news high, beaming when I hung from, ceilings when I run from, demons that are living in my head and escape.
Guys, like we're living in the age, and I say this from the bottom of my heart. Ren doesn't sound like anybody. He sounds like Ren. And for those of you who don't know what a, some of you guys might say, well, nobody sounds like him, but hear me out. Because Ren means it when he says, like, look, I wasn't the type to write for the radio. I wasn't the type to, radio never played my music. So I looked inward. A lot of artists kind of look outward. How do I land the deal? How do I get successful? And because Ren was kind of neglected and rejected by the mainstream for such a long time, he developed this sound, right? That we all kind of get to benefit, and it's a new thing. They always say, like, what genre is Ren? Nobody knows. I don't even think Ren knows. I gotta hear that transition again. That's so dope.
I wish that I could stop crying. They say that the body is 70% water. I feel like I must have reduced mine by a considerable fraction. Newton's third theory states that for every action there must be an equal and opposite counter-reaction.
Right.
And so I retrace my steps and try to find reasons in the arms of my demons, because I can't find healing if I can't find meaning in conundrum. Leaning on my dom-nom feelings.
Now, did you see how he went right back? Listen to that.
Reasons in the arms of my demons.
I try to find reason in the arms of my demons, because like the reason, like reasoning first, demons second, right? He's going right back to that, he's going right back through the steps again that he had already gone through in the first verse.
Opposite counter-reaction. And so I retrace my steps and try to find reasons in the arms of my demons, because I can't find healing if I can't find meaning in conundrum. Leaning on my dom-nom feelings, how the news high beaming when I hung from ceilings when I run from demons that are living in my head and escape. Fate and disapparate, evaporate, evacuate and then activate fate. But it cut the brakes, now I'm driving my universe into a lake in the weight of the world don't wait. We make mistakes when it's all a state. For goodness sake, a double take, but I don't want to eat that cake. I ruminate inside meaning to illuminate a dark mind. I communicate without speaking, and I've seen so much I went blind-eyed. Why I live to eat that cake. I ruminate inside meaning to illuminate a dark
mind.
I communicate without speaking, and I've seen so much I went blind.
I've seen so much I went blind. What does it mean to see so much you went blind, right? Guys, one of the Hegelian ideas, Hegel had, the thesis, the antithesis, and the synthesis, right? Even though that's an oversimplification for those Hegel nerds out there, it's a good way to begin looking at it. Hegel thought in threes. He thought in triangles. And to see so much you went blind is kind of recognizing that if everything were white, it would be the same as everything being black, right? When everything is salient, nothing is. So you can see so much, you can consume so much that nothing tastes like anything anymore, right? But, I think the brilliance of a lyricist, right? The brilliance of a lyricist is the ability to take a complicated thing and reduce it down to a small sentence, just so you can carry it as a tool, right? I've seen so much I went blind.
I live in a lie with the lion inside, living a lie with the lion inside of my mind. It's hungry for my sanity. I live in a lie with the lion inside, living a lie with the lion inside of my mind. It's hungry and I don't know why. Pressure drop, deep breath, time stops, a broken, etc. ... Pressure drop, pressure drop, pressure drop. I feel it consuming, I can't stop. ... The lines join the dots and I'm tying knots. Then divide and multiply, square the root of pi, beat the puzzle. I try to keep my mind focused on the line. Hopscotch and pop rocks, I take shots of teardrops. When I drop a pill pop, I find peace and time stops.
Family, you know what was so meaningful to me about the way that they ended it? And I'm not going to rewind it again. But, you can hear Ren, going through all of this, and then underneath that, you can hear her singing, I did it to myself. I did it to myself, while he's rapping over the top of that. And it's just like two sides of the same coin, right? where, you know, there's a way of processing that's, you know, really slow and but then the mind starts going and it's just going so fast. And, you know, I just love the part where the music really communicates. That was I think that that's one of the deepest tracks that I've ever heard from Ren.